Hello and welcome to When Will It End Reunion. Finally, Charles and I are back together after all these years.
Wow.
And look how we've grown. Look how we've changed.
God. I wish that were true. That would have been, if we had been doing our jobs, we could have figured out a way to record in person for this episode during COVID.
No, that would have been a bad idea.
Well, no, we could have, met in a field somewhere, set up a recorder. Like I could have sat 12 feet from you. We could have had the device 6 feet between us. And it could have been like a reunion. It could have been like this reunion where the friends, the lads, they get back together after all those years.
They go to Yard Dogs.
Oh.
Dog years, sorry.
Who cares?
They go to Dog Years. Everyone's beloved hot doggery in East Falls, Michigan. This has been such a journey. We're ending, no matter how we cut it, this is the end of the Eugene Levy run of 8 consecutive American Pie installments. And may I just... The fact that this movie gives him the incredible dignity of going out with quite the bang to finish off this unprecedented run for this podcast, it felt like, as mixed our feelings likely are about the movie American Reunion, which is not a very good movie, it was wonderful. I liked that the moments they chose to flex well-earned convergences in a shockingly dense mythos were weirdly rewarding. And the moment where Stifler's mom is, "I'm Stifler's mom," and he goes, "I'm Jim's dad."
Yeah.
I was like, it was worth it. This is some good stuff. That's great.
So Josh, I mostly regret the decision you made and you bringing me down this journey, but moments like that where you get to hear 13 years later, people go by the character, even though Jim's dad has gone by many names now. He's gone by...
Well, hold on. Actually, it's 9 years later, which is crucial to the biggest goof I've ever seen in any movie we've ever covered.
Wait, isn't it from 99 to 2012?
No. Oh, the series, yes. The break is a 9-year break.
Oh, really?
From 2003, which is American Wedding, 9-year break,
okay.
American Reunion.
I know you love to throw people at the goof bus, so let's hear it, and I will try to defend them and get them from under the bus.
No, this one's unforgivable, and the level you were talking about, the regret that we feel for doing this is when I knew that I'm a sick man who should be put down like a Stifler. Because watching the movie, I'm like, you're going to piss on my leg and tell me that Jim and Michelle's kid is 2? Jim and Michelle was pregnant in 2005's American Pie Presents: Bandcamp.
You're correct.
That fucking kid is 7.
But wait, I will try my best.
Did she miscarry?
Oh my God.
I mean, that's the only or they gave it up for adoption. Like, what happened to their original child? It's because we have 2 choices here, Charles, and we must engage with this. We must.
There's not much else to engage with, so let's do it.
I did not sleep last night, so I feel like I need to direct this energy into this. Was there a first child conceived and brought to term in 2005 that befell some sort of horrific fate that colors Jim and Michelle's relationship and explains some of the distance they're feeling?
Yeah, sort of like an Ian McEwan thing. Or who else does that? He does that shit all the time about quiet British people that have a severe loss and then continue to stay married together but hate each other for the rest of their lives.
This is more like a Rabbit Angstrom Updike situation, I think, where a bunch of just shitty middle-class white Americans suck ass and it's horrible. But so either there was a child that was lost in some horrific circumstance or some heart-wrenching circumstance, or they actually just forgot that they made him unbelievable. Because if you remember, I was like, oh my God, this is a huge bit of exposition to put into a direct-to-video franchise installation.
Yes.
And I knew they would have a kid in this. I had no idea they would either completely throw out the chronology, which is maddening to me because I'm a sick man.
Well, I think,
again, there's this darkness woven into it. I don't know.
I was doing a little bit of research while I was waiting to record. And I did see that there was a DVD special included on American Reunion. It was a short film. I think it was the shortest short film ever made.
Does Michelle miscarry and Stifler goes, "Oh my God, that's gross," and then vomits?
And then he eats. Yeah, he eats.
He's trying to impress a girl and he confuses a delicious beer with a miscarried
No, it was
thing.
It was just a 3-second short film. And you just see Jim. and he's on Facebook Marketplace, and he just puts a posting that says, "For sale, baby shoes never worn."
Oh, the saddest story ever told.
Yes, the saddest story ever told, but it also, it does bridge this gap between American Wedding and American Reunion. Yeah, and I think it answers all your questions.
Jim enters with multiple days worth of unshaven beard on his face and a stained shirt, dragging a bottle of whiskey behind him.
Yeah, it's on a string.
Wow.
Yeah, and he just
that's good writing.
Logs into Facebook. There was a lot of Facebook chat in this movie.
The weirdest part in this movie was all the NBC stuff. That was so strange.
Oh, wait.
Jim's homepage is nbc.com. It features the actress who plays Cerie from 30 Rock, who, with all due respect, that is forever what you are. You are Cerie. I'm so sorry. Cerie is you. You are Cerie. There was just, and then Chris Oz, excuse me, I was getting all formal. Chris Ostreicher. Oz, our beloved Oz, who we know and love.
Yeah.
They clearly make a lot of references to Dancing on the Stars and NBC. I was just like, what weird arrangement was made with NBC to like cross promote, a legacy sex comedy with whatever contemporary early 10s NBC content they're trying to push. It just, I don't know. It's strange to me.
Are they owned by Universal? That might be really the only connection. Otherwise, I don't really understand why a competing company would include other people's content in their movies.
Wow.
But I think also one little thing was when he was looking at his porn book bar. Do you have a little bookmark bar? Your boring work stuff, but it's just all the porn websites you go to?
Well, that felt kind of, a little, like many of the bits in this movie, a little tired. The important work folder, and it's just like college anal sluts 9 or whatever. Actually, that's not true. I guess I have one, but this is so on the nose. It's like, boring old work business. I have something called I don't know. I'll just make up something like, I don't know, T-shirt designs 2008 or something. And I think I've gotten some stuff stowed away somewhere, but it's so nondescript.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've got 8 broken laptops in my house, so
right.
I'm sure there's all kinds of weird stuff furried away here and there.
Furried away? It's disgusting.
I regret saying furried away. What is it? What's the phrase? Something away? Not furrowed.
Ferreted?
No, I'm so fucking tired.
I think it's ferreted away.
This movie made me sad.
Yeah, this was not good, and I think I watched it yesterday. I took extensive notes, and I already don't remember anything that happened. I remember Stifler fucking Finch's mom because I just sort of hated that.
Oh no, that was great. I loved that. That was funny.
I remember what's her name, Kayla or something. His person he used to babysit.
Oh God, the absolute rotten limb of this movie. Just a horrific decision. Just an entire plot line that I wish it never existed. So bad.
I remember her getting naked in his Mini Cooper with pink racing stripes. I guess because...
And you were like, damn, what a cool car. I wish I had that exact car.
That's basically... I was like, wait, what? I paused it. It's like, fuck, that car... I do want to get a Mini again, I think. I didn't have good luck with my first one, but I think I want to give it another try.
Wow, this is big.
I think in the same way that, you watch 9 American Pie movies or 8 American Pie movies, and you get to the 8th one and you're like, you know what, that first one was so long ago and I don't remember really enjoying it, but this sort of reminds me that I did enjoy some parts of it. And I think I want to go back.
I like that in the COVID year, we're all facing things about ourselves. We're all realizing who we are, what we're hiding from, where we've been, where we want to go. And part of that experience for you is realizing that you're ready to make another go at driving a Mini Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm ready in this. I think this brought me there. I was thinking about it. I did tell you that I will be employed through the winter, which is amazing news. I guess I'll be thankful for that Mini Cooper money that I'll be getting this winter and plunking it down on a new set of wheels.
You'll be like, I want the Jim Levinstein model, and I'm talking the Circa Reunion.
Yeah, not whatever. What did he drive?
I don't want Wedding. Okay, I want Reunion. Jim Levinstein. Okay?
That's another interesting piece of the puzzle. Is apparently his kid died, or they got an abortion, or something.
Or it was adopted, or they lost it.
They just had to get, they just lost it. Wow, it's like a Minority Report situation.
Exactly.
You go to the pool, suddenly your eyes are in the fridge with a disgusting sandwich. We should do
It's like
Minority
it's like
Report.
friggin' Joker Man when Joker Man find out he's Bruce Wayne's brother. Remember that?
Yes, I think so.
And he's like, Batman, I'm your brother. Ha 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 ha.
I think maybe he bought the pink and black Mini Cooper out of despair, and this was his like just a way to get past. Honestly, this should have been an advertisement for Mini Cooper. They could have shown that even in the depths of sorrow, after potentially losing your child at the local pool, you can still find some sweet joy in the little small hardtop of a Mini Cooper.
That's beautiful. He's finds solace in the little English car. Well, honestly, this movie, more than many of the other ones, like, we've talked a lot in this series about the crushing banality of a white supremacist capitalist nation, where like even the things depicted as the greatest dreams of that culture are just so small-minded, fascistic, and shallow. And this certainly is no exception to that, where, you know, they come home from their reunion, they basically all have terrible jobs. Even Oz just is like a pathetic talking head who's everyone makes fun of for being emotional about dancing, which sucks because his dance routine rules and his speech about dancing was important.
Yes.
But everyone else is just like works some job they can't stand or is so nondescript it doesn't even bear mention. This movie can't even imagine that people have jobs that are like vaguely interesting in any way.
Well, I think that was
like,
the point. I'm going to come to its defense a little bit, but I think that was the point that they were trying to make was that, you know, they're all, however many years later, whether it's 9 or 12 or whatever, they've all sort of found themselves in a place that they didn't want to be. And the whole point of this series, if there is one, is about, you know, being yourself and exploring your dreams. And we've taken a long break, and they have sort of lost focus on what they've learned in the previous films.
But here's my problem with that. The storyline that bears the most weight on that premise is Finch's, where he weaves quite a tale of his spectacular adventures. And then it turns out he works at a Staples. And that storyline is so unfinished and half-baked and unsatisfying and kind of ruins Finch, who's the best character of the entire franchise, in my opinion, other than Jim's dad.
Yeah.
And I thought that, like, they gave him so, like, I was disappointed that idea is not interrogated at all, that I don't really think they landed their one real shot at exploring that concept.
This is the problem with the movie, is that, especially it's directed by and written by the people behind the Harold and Kumar movies, which, while not great, like, this is so much worse than Harold and Kumar, I think. And the problem is this had the potential to be so good, is we have found that reboots and things that are spanning lots of time and like figuring out what we loved about earlier ones and updating it for a new time period. I think the biggest problem with the earlier series is that it was from the 90s, where all this shit that we've come to hate about comedies from the 90s and early 2000s are so prevalent. And I was hoping this could have been updated to the 2010s, where like all this shit from like Mike Myers and all these fucking loser guys would have been a little bit more replaced with better things, but they weren't.
Yeah, a real missed opportunity. I liked the premise of this, but they just end up, they don't really hit anything that deep with it. And American Wedding, a movie that, you know, I certainly agree is imperfect, you dislike. It has those interactions between Jim and Jim's dad that I think are really special. And this tries to address that, but once again creates sort of more confusion by having Jim's mom die. And so Jim apparently does not have that much emotionally at stake in the death of his mother.
I know.
Which is like weird. And again, I'm now realizing on the IMDb page, some clever person also noted the dead child scenario, but also points out that in Book of Love, Jim's dad says he's been married for 35 years. So she must have died in 2009, the year Book of Love came out, or shortly after the events of that film.
Well, that makes sense.
However, Jim's mother is seen in the home video Noah is watching when he mentions her passing. It's complicated.
It is very I think we could piece that one together, because I think the timing does work out, because he says it's been 3 years.
So just after Book of Love, his wife died.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think it works out. Can you imagine they actually, I think they pay a lot of attention to detail for the most part. I don't really know. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that there was some tragic mishap. Maybe the mom and kid died together. Maybe the mother kidnapped their young child in a mother-grandchild suicide pact.
I mean, those are almost a pandemic unto themselves in an American society today.
Yeah. So maybe that's why they don't really, I mean, I know they don't really talk too well at all. Like when they talk about sex, it's like they try to be open and connected, but they really talk around things. And maybe that's why, they just talk about the titty rag mag rather than talking about the actual events that went down that killed the new child and the old wife.
Now, Charles, I hate to catch you in your own goof, but the magazine that they discuss in Jim's room is shaved.
Oh, that's true.
So I presume it's about genitals as opposed to mammary glands. Because, well, obviously some people have hairy areolas. That's part of life. I think generally speaking, we associate shaved with vaginas and crotches in general. So I have to fault you on that one. They're talking about a vagina magazine.
That's all right. I'm going to just shift the faulting to the franchise itself because all it thinks sex is looking at tits.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
But I would like to say, so I'm sort of listing all the things I've remembered. I remember I want to talk about MILF Guy reunion, which was, I think...
Oh, that's the one shining light in this movie.
I almost
is
cried.
John Cho's unbelievable performance. Because, like, when they set that bit up,
yes.
where, Jim's like, where's the other MILF guy? And then John Cho has this incredible agonized reaction. He says something like, friendship is a two-way street. And you're like, this is great.
It was
MILF
great.
Guy has his own thing going on. Then we get the MILF Guy reunion, and it was beautiful. They just say MILF a lot. It's comedy gold.
It was good. That was like, there are some highlights that you would only get. Like, that would have made no sense in an American Pie 1 or 2. And it really needed to be in an American Pie 4 or 8, however you want to look at it, for it to land as comedy gold. But what I want to say, though, one of the only other few things that I remember is we see our first American Pie certified cock
Penis.
in this movie.
Penis.
And I think it was a real penis. I think that was actually Jim's penis or Jim's stunt double's penis.
Yes, and one of the classic snafus that Jim cannot help but get himself into. He's hungover from partying and is naked in the kitchen, and he puts the top of a pot or a colander over his penis, and it's glass, and we get some smushed dude dick, and it's the first penis we've seen in 8 movies.
Yeah.
I almost forgot what they looked like at this point.
I stood up and applauded.
Me and Allie were both eager. We were like, "Oh my god, a dick!" It was a beautiful experience to share with my fiance.
And I think that moment right there is, in a nutshell, what you could describe. Like, you could show that scene as every problem in this movie is what happened between the scene where he is at the party and he wakes up naked. And I know the part of the joke is that we don't know. But I think that's the problem in this movie is that we never get enough of what's going on to really give a fuck about what's going on.
Well, if you'll forgive me for talking about Star Wars for a minute.
Sometimes you just got to do it.
The classic Rise of the Skywalker problem is all of a sudden you're trying to sum up an entire unbelievable narrative arc, and it's like the panic that radiates out of the script writing room is just so evident on the screen. And I think it's the same situation where they had so much to cover. This is almost 2 hours long. I want to say it's the longest of the series. And despite that, they still can't really fit in everything in a way that makes sense. Like, for example, we get a little bit of Natasha Lyonne, who again shows up, and the relatively strong end of the movie, which I liked. We get a taste of that, which is like, oh God, where's she been the whole time? I missed her. But other than that, like, everyone's just running around like fucking. It's a very chaotic, shallow movie for most of the time. And I agree with you. It's another classic example of you have so many opportunities to do the kind of basic physical stuff that has worked consistently throughout the series, and they don't really do that.
Yeah, and I think if you'll permit me, and I apologize, but maybe you'll forgive me if I'd like to talk about the MCU for just 1 second.
Surely you speak of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, Anyway, I don't want to talk about the universe itself. I just want to talk about one of the Avengers movies. Which was the big one? Infinity War?
Well, Infinity War and Endgame are the 1-2 punch.
I know Infinity War is long. It's like another hour on top of this, so maybe that's what this needed was a 2.5 hour cut. But the fact that Infinity War managed to have every single fucking character in the MCU so far and have me care about all their, like, I understood everything they were trying to do. Everyone got time and everyone got emotional time. And the fact that they could do that with 3 times as many characters, like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, are they just being lazy? Do they not understand what works? Like, why is it that I watch an entire movie and I don't really understand why Jim and Michelle are having problems. I don't understand why Oz is doing what he's doing. I don't understand why I don't really give a shit because I don't know.
Well, the problem is that the biggest problem with this series that we often talk about is that this is being aimed at such a ludicrously heteronormative lowest common denominator that there are things that they think we'll just take for granted as part of life. Like, oh, you get married and you stop having sex. Or like, oh, your girlfriend wants to watch friggin' reality shows. Or like just this like completely fucking the laziest shit. And like that leads into the darkness of this movie where like, well, one, there's a tremendous amount of sexual assault in this movie.
Yes.
Like an unbelievable amount of like, non-consensual things happening and being played for laughs. And again, just to go back full circle here, the corrosively awful plot arc of Jim being attracted to the next door neighbor he used to babysit because she turned legal that day.
Isn't that convenient?
Kara.
Isn't that convenient?
These Hollywood scriptwriters, you know what? I don't buy it. I don't buy that she turned 18 just happenstance. I don't know if that really was drawn from a real experience. But like, yeah, so like much of the movie, we're just supposed to assume that it's like normal and funny that this like guy, this married father in his 30s is in a series of sexually attractive situations with a child he babysat who is just barely of a legal consensual age, who is very attracted to him for reasons that are completely not explained. And like, just all of that is like a waking nightmare. And I think the fact that the filmmakers were like, you know how it is, fellas. You want to have sex with that girl you used to babysit. It's like, whoa, that sucks. Like,
right.
What a disgusting premise. Like, even if there's truth to how we sexualize young people in this culture, that's not like a fun, light plot arc. It's like deeply fucked up, and the implications of it are like horrifying.
Yeah, and it just played for laughs. It's and I again, I'm going to point to, I've said this the whole series, I just don't like Jim. And I don't even think the filmmakers like Jim because he never gets to do anything. And he's so boring and uninteresting. I don't think his acting is very funny. I think his acting really makes me feel anything. And he definitely has always, time and again, the most boring aspects of these movies for me. And I'm just thankful in some ways that he didn't really get that much to do in this one. But then we have to talk about the other shit elephant in the room, that they always fucking put so much on Stifler. And Stifler sucks too. I hate Stifler.
Let's get to Stifler in a minute. The Stifler family is a horrible thing, and it must stop. No one disagrees on that front. I think actually Jason Biggs and Eugene Levy have really good energy together, and I like watching them act together. I think that relationship actually works for me. So I find myself kind of like being pleasantly surprised by that most of the time. So I want to give Biggs credit for that, and the fact that he's just down for almost every humiliation. I like that in him.
I do like that he was okay with smashing his penis with a pot lid. But for your first point, I think given that we have countless evidence of him acting against every other actor in the room and it not really working, I wonder if just the beauty and charisma and power of a Eugene Levy would just make anyone act well against him.
Well, as the trivia pointed out, this is the first movie where Stifler and Noah's dad actually get any actual dialogue with each other, and I don't know. I find myself liking Sean William Scott and being sympathetic to Stifler. I think this is a bad movie. There's a lot of bad Stifler in it. Stifler's a monster. He's a sexual deviant. He does terrible things. The game Vagina Shark appears to just be sexual assault with a clever name. And it's not even a very clever name, let's be honest.
I was about to call you out on that one. I'm glad you noticed that first.
So yeah, now that I've said this whole sentence, like, yeah, fuck Stifler, obviously. But like, I kind of like the idea of like the deflated, lame, broken, older Stifler as a concept. I think that there's juice in that.
I do too, but they don't play it that way. They play him as the victim, even though the opening scene, he sexually assaults people, he kills someone. But then the whole movie is that he's the victim of his boss, who is rightfully pissed off that this asshole is like rubbing the picture of his wife or girlfriend that's framed on his desk against his dick.
Yeah.
If my intern did that, I would fire them. He should be thankful that he still gets to work there.
Yeah, that whole dynamic is pretty dark. And also, again, casting like a South Asian person to play like the nerdy loser, geek character yet again is like a trope in this series that's pretty exhausting.
Yeah, I think in the end he like gets the last word against his boss that's been okay. Like, you have to do your job. He's like, look, I don't want to do my job. I just want to go play Vagina Shark. And then at the end,
then he says, like, I'm just going to beat the fuck out of you if you ever, like...
Yes.
Like, it's like, you can't really do that to your boss, everyone.
And we shouldn't be cheering for this guy to do it to his boss because his boss is fine. Stifler's the asshole.
Right. And I think the problem with this movie is that I think the idea of Stifler having some kind of transformation is a great idea that they always chicken out from going the full distance on, because they have to forgive him and accept him at the end of the day, when the best parts of Stifler from the early days are Stifler straight up getting comeuppance and being humiliated and drinking piss and eating shit. And the fact that like they insist that he has to get his cake at the end of the day, that's a cop-out.
Fucking hate it.
That's not what Stifler's there for.
That's why I don't like Stifler as a character, and I don't think he's terribly funny, but I like his inclusion is that he's homophobic, he's he's sexually abusive, he's awful, but the only reason why that works sort of is that the movie, like in the first three, he always got fucked because of it. And he never got rewarded because of it. And that's why I didn't really like American Wedding, was that was the moment where they decided to let him off on the cheap and not really have him really go and reconcile with all the awful shit that he does, because they just accept him. And that's what's unforgivable about this movie, is that without anything, they're just like, yeah, we're friends. And you know what? We really liked high school with you because you made it fun. It's like, have you watched the first American Pie movie? No one wanted to be around Stifler. And to just like change that narrative and have it come this like weird mythology just because the directors don't want to like kill Stifler. They should have fucking murdered Stifler in this movie.
If Stifler had died in a funny, scatological, or sexual way, that would actually be, I think, daring and appropriate. Stifler should die as Stifler lived, covered in shit and fucking.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Finch's mom could have murdered him.
It was nice that the lady made him go down on her, because it was like, at least Stifler has to learn that life is not just about him being pleased constantly, but also the idea of like it being a punishment for him to go down on someone. That is not really a great message either.
Once again, that fails because of that, and also she's overweight.
But she's comfortable in herself, which I thought was great.
Which is fine, but
good for her. Lonnie Levenstein, not Levenstein.
They've done it before, where they like people feel ashamed in these series of having sex with overweight women. It's like that happened in Beta House, or the first Beta House, pre-Beta
I have
House.
scrubbed Beta House from my memory. You speak of the Naked Mile, of course, the introduction to Beta House as a concept.
No, I think it wasn't Beta House, because it had like Whistler or whatever. Who was the rapist? What was his name? Blackout Charlie?
They're all rapists. It doesn't matter.
Who is the guy that like goes to Mexico and adopts children with PS?
Oh, God. He goes to like Thailand or something. I hate that. I don't want to talk about it. Please don't make me talk about it.
Fine. We won't talk about it. That's over. But yeah, I'm glad I never have to see Stifler again. Even though while looking at IMDb, there is an American Pie 5. It's in production.
Hold on. Before we run off on the American Pie 5 train, I want to just point out a couple things about my research, what I have learned about the future of the series. So American Pie 5 was announced in 2012 with the same director-writer team coming back. In August 2017, Sean William Scott said that the fourth film will probably not be made at the domestic... the fourth film did not perform well enough domestically to warrant another film. It barely made over its budget, its $50 million budget domestically. It cleared $230 million worldwide.
The reunion or the wedding?
Reunion.
Okay.
Now, here's the kiss of death. In August 2018, Tara Reid said she met with the director, so them saying the fifth film will happen, that filming will begin soon. If Tara Reid is saying a sequel is going to happen, that means it's not happening.
Oh, really? Is she notoriously, killing projects like this?
Well, Tara Reid's had a troubled life, and in this movie she seems semi-functional. I was pretty impressed that she's clearly not 110% in this, I think, to be fair. And she struggled with things in her life, and I wish her well. But she went through a long period just before this where she was like lying about being married to people, which was like a weird thing.
Oh,
wow. And famously, she said that there was going to be a Big Lebowski 2, and I think the Coen brothers wished Tara Reid luck on the production of Big Lebowski 2. Like there's a great exchange in the press about
I'll have
that.
to find that.
Yeah, I my understanding is that if Tara Reid is talking up a project, then I mean her last movie was Andy the Talking Hedgehog,
No.
which she co-stars in with Dean Cain.
No. That's sad.
I mean, I kind of want to see it now because I do like hedgehogs and Dean Cain.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't really got much hedgehog fix. We did get Sonic recently. But I think, yeah, we should do that one maybe. What was it called?
Andy the Talking Hedgehog. Reid stated that she was not taking the film seriously and the poster is bad. She also said that, quote, it's going to be fun. It's a cute movie.
That's nice.
It is.
But that, like, I think that scene where, like, it cuts to Kevin and Vicky waking up to, like, in bed together.
Is that ever explained?
No. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the same shit. Like, it's like The Hangover. When did The Hangover come out?
I mean, not too long before this.
It was 2009, right? Yeah.
Right. So
it would be like if The Hangover was them waking up, being like, wow, I don't remember what happened last night. And then the movie ended. Because we never understand what actually happened that night. And it's like all this shit that sort of makes the plot progress. It felt as though they had 4 hours of movie that they just all cut out.
Well, but also it's like Oz is dating a shitty asshole. Oh, gee, should he dump her to date Heather, who's dating a male shitty asshole? And like Kevin's dating some dumb lady just wants to watch reality TV. Oh, gee, should he break up with her and maintain his architect job to be with? It's like none of the setups are like. There's just so little thought put into it that I think like really interrogating like. And this is me just being the saddest man in the world, but like, let's get into it.
Yes.
This could have been the last Jedi of American Pie. Okay.
Yes. I would have wanted that.
Who wouldn't?
I mean, maybe it did turn into the last Jedi of American Pie.
When I say the last Jedi of American Pie, that is a cultural concept that people all around the nation and world, dare I say, are sitting up in their chairs, standing up while driving, standing up at work at their desks and saying, yes, Josh, the last Jedi of American Pie must be made. We must question the basis of who we are, the myths we tell ourselves, the foundation of the illusion that we collectively embrace as reality.
You can sit down now.
Andy the Talking Hedgehog is only 76 minutes.
That's perfect. Oh, I love a good 76-minute movie.
A tight 76.
So I would like to ask you then, what we can get out of this is it's a reunion. And one of the fun parts of a reunion is, judging people and seeing what's changed since you've last seen them. So what do you think of the boys these days? Who's your favorite boy?
This is great. I love this breakdown.
Was there a change that happened between the last time you saw the boys? Like, they all... I mean, I think Kevin looks great.
So Thomas Ian Nicholas is a little man. He's a small, compact little fellow. And the only substantial way they could delineate that he's older was by giving him the worst facial hair of all time in human history.
I think it looks great.
Very bad, very bad.
The little beard, the one that like just skirts. He could grow a fuller beard, but he's chosen to style it so that there's just a tiny little line.
It's terrible.
Tiny little line.
It's so bad. He looks like a little asshole. I hated it. He just looked like such a fucking dork. No good. Stifler looks exactly the same, but his hair is sadder and he's more jacked in a sad way. I've sort of fallen in love with Chris Klein over this series because Chris Klein just seems like a gentle, sweet man.
Yeah. I really, like, he's always been the guy that I liked. He was my MVP or something. I don't even fucking remember my MVPs, but he's great. And I think that he's the nicest one and he cares about people, not just himself, but he cares about everyone else in his life.
Oz is empathetic and passionate, and I love that he, again, so horrible Dr. Ron, played by Jay Harrington, who, of course, is dating the great Mina Suvari, who has, as Allison pointed out, a very terrible 2012 haircut, a very bangs-heavy, like, I'm not even sure how to describe, like a Cleopatra-adjacent style cut.
Yeah.
He makes everyone watch the episode of Dancing with the Stars with Oz on it, where Oz 1 gives an amazing performance, which I loved, because like Chris Klein's his dedication is he knows it's funny when it's clear that he's giving a big shit about stuff, and we've always liked Oz for being publicly vulnerable, which is how he wooed Heather in the early movies by joining choir, and then he gives a long talk about and it's supposed to be embarrassing where he's like, dance is important. And if we all dance, there would be no war. And it's like, everyone's like, embarrassed. And it's like, no, like he's right. We should all dance. The world would be better. Like, Oz is dead right. And I was like, this is not that embarrassing. Like, you've got Oz just spitting raw truth from his heart, and that's something should be commended.
It's very weird because I think, especially, this is 2012. This is well past the point at which we realize that the wars that we're engaged with are bad. And it seems Hollyweird has always been, painted as a liberal, just constantly just putting down liberal shit right down our throats. And this could have been a moment for them to agree with Oz, which is what's more of a leftist idea than all dance, no war.
So in our rewrite, Heather's brother has died in Afghanistan. And it's just like she's drinking. She's dating this abusive asshole, Dr. Ron. She sees Oz, pilled out on Dancing with the Stars, passionately decrying the facetious war on terror and this imperial struggle to secure fossil fuels for what it is. This blatant, fascistic, meaningless endeavor. And somewhere deep in the broken haze of her shattered psyche, she realizes she has to leave Dr. Ron, who's just been beating her, and go back with Oz, who, sure, is he hooked on Adderall to stay trim for the camera? Does he look a little bit like a kind of blown out casino dweller? Yeah, sure. But she knows that they share at least that collective pain at the loss America has experienced.
Right, and he, as always, is on the empathetic side of it. While he's never gone to war. He's never picked up a gun. He doesn't know how to, if you handed him a gun, he wouldn't even know what to do with it. But he understands just psychologically and empathetically that what's happening is bad. And if we all just danced, can you imagine, Josh, just close your eyes and imagine this. Everybody.
In my head, Rusted Root is playing. I would like to pick
Everybody
up my hand.
Is dancing.
Oh, Marcel. Oh, Italian
They're shuffling those tootsies. Swaying of their shoulders.
I would like to hold in my little hand.
Guns they just turn into flowers.
This is beautiful.
This is Oz's world. Maybe if American Pie 5, American Pive. Think it's gonna be called American Pie?
Oh my God, that'd be so good.
How would it be spelled? Would it be spelled American Pive or American Pieve?
I saw it Pive in my head.
It sort of looks weird though. I think it would need Pieve.
Once I'm gonna type it out.
What do you think the first movie? Wait, actually, maybe they already had this.
No, I like American Pie. I think that has flair.
What do you think the first movie title that's going to have an emoji in the movie as like in replacing a word?
Well, I mean, there hasn't been a vaporwave movie yet.
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. I look like,
that's true.
If you were to see me on the street, you're like, that guy probably enjoys vaporwave.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah.
I would like to enjoy vaporwave.
Sure. Who wouldn't?
And I talk about it as though I enjoy it with friends. Well, not friends, but like people I sort of know. I'm like, oh yeah, vaporwave. But down deep, I don't know anything about it. Apparently, I have really bad graphics. Is that a part of vaporwave? Is like shitty design, like power trash?
Well, it's kind of like a bricolage of 90s PC aesthetics.
Yeah.
Reconstituted into a kind of deliberately stilted nostalgia.
Yeah, I think I started calling that power trash. Oh no, vaporwave is different than power trash.
I don't really know what power trash is, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I coined the phrase with Jacob Winans?
Oh my God, we're talking Jake Winans? That's amazing.
Yeah, when I used to work with him at the movie
Shout
theater,
out to Jake.
We just started like really getting into power trash, which was like MS Paint design sort of style, where it just like intentionally looks terrible and to the point where it becomes powerful. Yeah, that's a different. This is like that shit. God, vaporwave sucks. This is like that Hotline Miami aesthetic. I like the game Hotline Miami, but it's like it looks like that. It's just all purples and pinks.
That game is so violent. Not for me.
Yeah, it is little.
Video games are so violent. I'm not. I like very cartoonish violence, but
it's okay. It's okay. I get you. Just I like it. It's a great puzzle game, and you get to blast people.
All right, I'll back off.
Stop coming at me. Stop coming at me.
Fuck you, vaporwave bitch.
I take it back. Now that I mildly know what vaporwave is, it looks like something. I've sort of noticed that design like this became very popular a few years ago, and I think it's stopped now, but like it was sort of because I think people like me started getting into the graphic design sphere where they had no actual, training or understanding of art, and they'd be like, "Oh, I can make lines." Because people in the 80s who had an understanding of it, they were forced to only make lines. And I'm going to just choose to only make lines. Did that make sense?
I kind of tuned out.
Yeah.
So American Pie had a budget of $145 million and made almost $1 billion.
Wait, American Pie?
Oh, hold on. No. Sorry. That's the full series. Oh, my God.
I was going to say,
completely misread that.
The title of American Pie was American Pie, or a teenage sex comedy that most people will hate her, but you can make for under $10 million or something. You told me that, and I thought it was fun.
I did. Okay, so let me ask you this. The American Reunion poster features the last slice of pie and the tagline, "Save the best piece for last." I would say that's a pretty good tagline. Misleading, but I think that's good marketing.
Well, I mean, so here I actually want to get into, I think this is a good opportunity to talk about what we want to do next.
Yes, because I'm looking at the poster for American Pie Presents Girls Rules.
If we want to think about this as the last piece, then I think we should treat this episode as the final episode of the Pieverse, where we do a special bonus episode about the Eugene Levy-less American Pie Presents Girls Rules. But there's a couple reasons why we've done movies that were even less related to the Pieverse. Like we've done other.
Charles, I'm going to blow through this. We must continue because we called it the Pieverse. This is the Pieverse. It moves forward. It's a tight 90. We must go forward. I mean, look, am I going to be sad to say goodbye to Eugene Levy? Yes, he was truly often the only thing to look forward to in the ghetto of direct-to-video American Pie Presents movies, but like we need to keep moving forward, and I'm not going to stop now.
So here's what I want to ask you. I was thinking about this. We've said, and we made a promise to our listeners that, we did Shrek. Oh, wait, is there going to be, if there's a Shrek 5, we're not going to just not cover it. We're going to have a new episode about the new Shrekiverse movie.
We're committed to that.
Now, do we interrupt the current verse that we're working on, or do we make it exclusive Patreon content?
No, I think we must, for our listeners who love us, who adore us, who look forward to our coverage of the Pieverse all these long months, and my God, it's been 2 months of this, we must continue. We can't stop now. Also, this is the first apostrophe in the title of a movie that we've covered in this verse. That's huge.
And it's a cool one because it's a plural possessive.
Right, that's one of the rarer apostrophes.
It is. It's the rarest. There's only 2, but it's the rarer one.
It's more rarer. Even better, with the development section on Wikipedia, we get a glimpse into the galaxy brain level thinking that went into the 10-year gestation period of this movie. After the success of American Pie Presents: The Book of Love, featuring yet another terrible Stifler, boring, bad movie, we hate the Stiflers. Writer David H. Steinberg, and let's just say I think I've seen him at Temple, was hired in 2010 to write the next movie in the series entitled American Pie Presents: East Great Falls, centered around, guess what, 4 male students at East Great Falls High School who all fall in love with the same female student. So just the slightest hair's breadth away from every other movie in the 8-movie series. In 2017, Universal said, guess what, everybody? We're going to flip the genders.
Yay. So you think that we shouldn't try to, get a little of that cha-chinga and make people only the way they could finish the Pieverse is to be subscribers to our Patreon.
Look, I'm not a crass commercialist piece of shit, Charles.
Wow.
When I throw slop to the meat hound pigs who listen to this god-awful show, I'm only throwing them the most delicious gruel that I can scrounge out of my ass cheeks. And with that in mind, we got to keep moving forward for the people. Also, I'm going to just feel like for the rest of my life like we did a disservice to everybody by not covering American Pie Presents Girls Rules in the main feed.
Okay.
Because we can plug anything into our wonderful Patreon, which I recommend people listen to. It's funny. Oh, the laughs for days.
We actually had a really good one last episode, was the one where we discovered that Tad, something's up with Tad, and we had to get to the...
And if you remember, beloved Tad, the chaotic good Stifler, Matt Stifler from American Pie Presents Bandcamp, you'll want to listen to our Patreon. But Charles, let's stop tying this to that one episode. Let's get to the big thing. So we're on the same page. We're going to watch 9 for the next episode, right?
Great. Yeah. So we'll have to change the schedule a little bit. I think we wanted to anyway.
We did. We some things moved around, and I think we have a nice come down from this nightmare for our next series. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's plow onward. We're almost done. So let me ask the question that everyone's waiting to hear me spit out of these luscious lips. Charles, are you asking when will it end? 8 movies into this franchise.
So just out of pure exhaustion, I think I am. But a part of me is excited. So this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode. I don't, after seeing what Superbad did, what Blockers did, like, I'm ready to get to the later part of this century's ideas around sex comedies with high schoolers and their parents. And I think that this franchise has always just needed to not suck, because it could be very good having friends talk about sex with each other. So I say, no, I'm not asking when will it end, because I think fucking 20 years later, it's just going to get started.
So you see this as the brand new frontier of a renaissance in the Pieverse.
Yeah, I think it's disgusting to look back on movies from the 90s and 2000s and be like, oh, wow, like consent wasn't a thing people even knew about. And
Hold on, American Reunion is from 2012. That's an
Right.
Obama-era production, and it is still just chock full of rape.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, movies, yes, 2012. It doesn't even matter. If you go back, a lot of comedies probably were still like that. I'm ready to see movies about people. As wholesome as American Pie 1 was, its foundation is based on rape. And I'm ready for the foundation of these movies to be about friendship and not about friends figuring out how to rape people.
No, I agree. Sorry, one sec.
What are you doing?
I had a work thing happen there. Okay.
Just doing work on the podcast?
Someone called me. I had to say I'm busy. I didn't want to say what I was doing, though, because if I said I'm in minute 50 of a record about American Reunion, they might not take me credibly as my given profession.
Why don't you just do the interview while we're on the episode? Seems like you're more invested in your job, I guess, than creating content for this
You're
podcast.
being a real stiffler right now, and I didn't want to say that, but you gave me no choice.
Just pulled it out of you.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so like you, I am not saying when will it end, because I am a huge fan of Blockers. Blockers is an amazing movie. I love it. It's one of my new favorite Hall of Josh films. And it sort of felt like the next logical step forward from Superbad, which was the best teen sex comedy for white dorks before it. So for some reason, I'm holding out hope that simply getting rid of like what I hope is, and like if we can close the door on boring ass white suburban dudes with stupid shitty dreams and lazy fantasies being awful, yeah, I'm into the premise of a sex romp. That's funny. Everyone can relate to that. We're all horny bastards.
Well, except for the ones that aren't.
No, everyone is. It's a law now.
Oh God, it's a law now? Is that a new Trump thing?
Oh, don't get me started. The Orange Buffoon, The Little King. Hey, is this episode coming out the day before Election Day?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on.
Wow.
Wait, what's the... Yeah, it's coming out the 2nd. So Jesus.
Hey, everyone, if you're listening, you go out there.
You fucking vote.
And I don't give a fuck what you do. Do whatever the fuck you want. You're sick of all these boring-ass bitches telling you to vote. Guess what? Here, you can do whatever you want. We don't care.
Wait, really?
Go
I just
nuts.
said they should vote. I got the wrong message.
I'm vetoing Charles's statement, which
Good.
is democracy. That's the legislative process, and you have to respect it. Everyone's telling you to vote everywhere else. This is possibly one refuge. You don't have to vote. It's fine.
Wait, can you tell me? Did you vote for Steven Stifler?
I voted for president.
Wait, who's that? Oh, okay. I was going to vote for Steven Stifler, and then Amy told me that it's illegal to take a picture of your ballot.
That's not true. I think Amy is a wonderful person. I did that and sent it to many people because I wrote in Jerry Garcia and Bob Weir for lesser races I did not also want to vote in. It's fine.
Okay.
It's not against the law.
Well, I didn't realize
posted a photo of my ballot onto Instagram at one point.
That's what I
thought.
thought.
Then I realized it was a bad idea for my job. So
yeah.
Can you bleep out who I voted for?
Yeah, I'll bleep that out.
Yeah. It was Trump.
I'll leave that one in, but I'll bleep out the previous one. Or do you want me to bleep? Do you want to bleep? What I'll do is I'll bleep him out, but I'll leave the first part, the T, and the second part, like it'll be like tip, burp, and then so they'll know that you said.
Okay, we'll bleep that out too then, what you just said.
Yeah, I'm just going to bleep everything out.
Okay.
I almost voted for Trump because I thought it would be funny.
You could say that you did. You could like have that in your back pocket for a story.
Right.
You know?
And I didn't because I think people would hate me. But I think it just sort of goes to show why you don't need to vote right now if you live in, 40 of the 50 states in this country? You could do whatever the fuck you want. You could piss on your ballot and throw it at somebody. It doesn't fucking matter what you do with your ballot if you live in Massachusetts, if you live in New York, if you live in California.
Well, I guess I'm just sick of the moralizing against individuals for a system that is so like woefully inadequate, deeply broken,
Yes.
largely impotent, and like just this hectoring that people go through to scream at people about civic involvement in a society that just offers so little and less every year, and so little for people who are marginalized. Just this idea that like voting is that's the pinnacle of morality is vote. It's like that is fucked up. Like get involved in your community. There's a million ways.
Yeah.
Certainly presidential elections are just a waking nightmare. There are some things you should vote for, but like
Absolutely.
certainly the, anything that is not a vote for Joe Biden is, what you want Hitler to be president? It's like, for Christ's sake, like this is so ludicrous. Like, yeah, if you're living in a swing state, I understand acting strategically. That's when I lived in Ohio, I took those considerations into account in 2016.
So you voted for Trump in 2016.
Hey, don't ask, don't tell. Boop. But long story short, on this podcast, baby, you can quietly whisper to us that you didn't vote. We're not going to judge you.
I would like to say, if you do live in Massachusetts, I have no idea what the right to repair. I really don't understand what I should do about it. I think I voted the right way, but it doesn't matter. I do want to insist that you vote for yes on 2 for ranked choice voting. There's no reason not to vote for it. If you vote no on, I don't even understand the reason why you wouldn't want ranked choice voting.
So for work, I've done arguments for and against both questions 1 and 2, and we cannot go down that alleyway right now because that like no one wants to hear us talk about the right to repair debate.
No, not that one. I'm talking like
perilously dull. The ranked choice voting? Yeah, why not? Well, the system is just moribund. It sucks ass. It's so bad.
Make it a little better, I guess. But yeah, it's
just like you think about, in Massachusetts where a lot of people are like, oh, it's a liberal bastion. The overwhelming number of elections that are not uncontested because the system is so inaccessible, and the lack of conversation and the lack of scrutiny that a lot of candidates get to coast by on year to year because there's no Republican Party that's taken seriously outside of, the Baker center-right technocratic governorship. There's nothing that stimulates people to be challenged in any way in this state. And it's very frustrating. So, as much frustration as there was about the Kennedy primary challenge to Markey, it did, actually force career politicians to talk about actual substantive issues as much as we could squeeze it out of them. So, I don't know. Like, democracy is in a horrible decline, and at least ranked choice voting would make it slightly more possible for people to enter a system that is designed to exclude them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. It's not going to be the only thing to fix it, but I think without it, it's going to be very hard to fix. So this is a great first step. Maine has it, and Maine has a long history of having independent governors, Whoa, what am I looking at? Your belly?
No, I had to move something. Just
you didn't
do the podcast.
You didn't want me to look at your belly?
You can look at my belly, but it's not much to look at. But
no, it's nice
just
belly.
Keep talking.
Okay,
asshole.
that's right. That's what the podcast is. It's you talking and then me talking, and sometimes we talk over each other.
Just finish your thought.
I'm just Yeah, Maine has it now, and they've always had like independent people, and it just makes independent people who aren't affiliated with the two big parties to get in the fucking game, and you're not scared to vote for who you want to because you're worried that they're gonna lose, and then you get fucking Governor LePage for 2 terms who won with 39% of the vote.
Right, that shit's hysterical. I love that Maine like pioneered this experiment and got like immediately the most like.
No, this was pre. This was pre. This was when they didn't have ranked choice voting. This is why they got it, because fucking Governor LePage, the backwards racist piece of shit, like pre-Trump guy, won with 39% of the vote because the independent got 30 and Democrat got 30 something. So, but because we didn't have ranked choice, he just took it, even though he got like more than 2/3 of the state didn't want him.
Yeah,
it's fucking disgusting.
Well, thanks for setting the record straight there. Boy, was I confused. Okay, so we're getting to the end of the episode here. Let's pick our MVPs because we don't have to do our big outro on the series. Mine's easy. John Cho is
we did
so
it again.
Good in this.
We did it again.
Like, he doesn't need to be showing up at like an 11, but it's just like bouncing off the walls with energy. He's funnier than anyone else in this movie. I have so many questions about the MILF guys and their relationships. Give me that spinoff. John Cho, congratulations. As MILF guy number 2, you win my MVP for American Reunion.
I was going to choose John Cho as MILF guy number 2 for mine, but in the spirit of friendship, in the spirit of American Reunion, I'm going to choose Justin Isfeld as MILF guy number 1 as my MVP, because without MILF guy number 1, there would be no MILF guy number 2.
That's right. It is, the
it's a two-way street.
The reunion we were all really waiting for.
Honestly, I didn't realize it while I was watching the movie, but once it happened, I realized that was what I wanted. I wanted to see the MILF guys chant MILF one more time.
And have a conversation strictly saying the words MILF. So on that note...
Wait, before we go, speaking of that scene, I'm sorry to go back. I'm bringing us back for just 1 second.
Okay.
I do not like that Finch... Like, that Stifler gets to get his final comeuppance on Finch by fucking his mom. Stifler deserves nothing other than a cruel death. And I hate that he...
And Finch deserves everything. Finch is really underserved in this, which was a bummer. I love Finch. He's my favorite character overall, and I was bummed that
it's interesting
he doesn't
that
get a lot to do in this.
Don't think I've ever given him an MVP, or maybe I did once, but he might win series MVP. It's hard to say, but he is my favorite of the boys, even though Oz is he's my soulmate. If I were to meet Oz, I would immediately hit it off and start a podcast with him about sports or something.
We'll find out in episode 9 of the series. And, need I remind you that Finch, Eddie K. Thomas, starred in The Diary of Anne Frank opposite Natalie Portman in 1997.
Okay. That's good to know.
It's good to know.
I'll keep that in my back pocket, too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Just nice to imagine that.
What, Anne Frank?
Yeah.
Wow. I just imagined her. It was pretty nice.
Do you think Anne Frank would have liked the American Pie movies? I mean, honestly, anything to pass the time in that goddamn attic, huh? And that's the show. Join us next week for American Pie Presents Girls Rules. This time, the girls... No, they did a lot of men were sexually assaulted by women in this movie, so I guess it's just a continuation of the same sad shuffle forward. God, what an exhausting series.
We'll find out.